It's a Grammy Sunday morning on CBS. And here again is Jane Pauley.
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road was a huge hit for Sir Elton John. He's just announced that his touring days are coming to an end, as has his fellow legend, Neil Diamond. They have something else in common. They both spent quality time with our Anthony Mason.
Between them, they've sold more than 500 million records.
You showed what a little bit of love can do.
And been on tour for almost a century. But this past week, two of music's greatest superstars said they were coming to the end of the road.
My life has changed. The priorities in my life have changed.
Sir Elton John said the decision to announce his final tour was about his family.
And I've had a good run. I think you'll admit that. I've had a pretty good run.
Well, I'm New York City born and raised.
For Neil Diamond, who'll be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Grammy this year, it was a matter of health. A recent diagnosis of Parkinson's disease abruptly ended his 50th anniversary tour. It is with great reluctance and disappointment that I announce my retirement from concert touring, he said in a statement. Just 3 years ago, he talked about how much he looked forward to getting back on the road.
Obviously, you don't have to do this. It's just interesting that you want to.
I have to.
You do?
Yeah. I don't want to.
So where does the have to come from then?
I have to because if I want to maintain any self... I don't know why I have to. It's a joyful experience for me when you get on stage and you're up there alone with your audience. It's the perfect couple.
That relationship is a romance that never fades?
It has not faded for me. It's fearsome and scary and joyful and delicious, all at the same time.
Go back to the beginning with Diamond, and you'll end up at The Bitter End, the New York nightclub where he first performed. Here it is. The last time you were here was when?
Sometime BC, 30 years ago. Paul, this guy was the manager of the Bitter End before. Get that face. That guy hired me more times than I deserve to be hired. How are you, baby? Come here, let me give him a hug.
When the late Paul Colby, who died in 2014, ran the Greenwich Village Club in the 60s, it was a mecca for songwriters.
There you are.
Well, I look like a baby.
Well, we were both babies.
That's me, and that's Paul. Can I step up on the stage and just see what it feels like to be 25 again?
There was enormous prestige in playing the Bitter End's small stage.
God knows she loves me. Kentucky woman, she get to know you.
It was my beginning, it was right here. So, you know, and this guy hired me, so what can I say? God bless you, Paul Colby. Thanks, pal. That was the first time I became a professional performer.
Diamond broke through in 1966 with Cherry Cherry. After that, the hits came like rain.
Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
Many of them we haven't stopped singing.
Sweet Caroline. Good times never seem so good.
He wrote Sweet Caroline in just 1 hour, using a chord he'd never played before.
Hands, touching hands. That chord.
It was an A6th.
Hands. What do I play? Touching hands. There's just something about that chord that sweeps you along.
Sir Elton's career got swept along when, as young Reginald Dwight, he answered this ad seeking songwriters.
When I look back on my little shy self, I can't believe I actually had the balls to do it, but I did.
The record label paired him with lyricist Bernie Taupin. They clicked immediately.
And you can tell everybody this is your
and
song.
became one of the most successful songwriting teams in history.
When Bernie brings you a lyric, do you ask him to explain it?
No, never.
So you don't know what Leave On is about?
No, but I mean, I've got my own idea, and every time I sing it, I have this vision going on in my mind. But that's the magic of those lyrics, because every time you sing it, you think about something different.
Right.
And even in your song, I mean, I never get fed up with that. It's the most beautiful love song. This one's for you. Now I sing it, I'm thinking about David, or I'm thinking about my boys. And you can tell everybody this is your song.
Performing was important for Elton, even when he battled drugs and depression in the 80s.
When you were dealing with your drug problem, how did you keep going?
I did, and that's what kept me alive. Music has been my friend since I was 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
When my parents were getting divorced, it was my sanctuary in my bedroom, listening to the radio, playing records. The fact is, music kept me alive. It saved my life.
Mm-hmm. Feels like you traded it in a way for an addiction to performing.
Well, the addiction to the performing is bigger than the addiction to drugs. Thank God.
His addiction now, his children, son Zachary, who's 7, and Elijah, who's 5.
10 years ago, if you'd have said I'd be sitting in this house with 2 children, I'm married to my husband, no, I would have said you'd have put acid in my drink. And boy, has it been the best decision I've ever made in my whole life.
Right.
And fatherhood has changed the way Elton John sees his future.
They just put everything in perspective. So, I mean, it's led to me looking at what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then, in the end, I will stop.
You will stop.
Yeah. I want to see them grow up. I had such a great life.
But first, he plans to go out with a bang, a 3-year farewell tour. Both he and Neil Diamond say they'll continue to write and record. But one of the greatest touring acts of all time has already taken his final bow.